Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is March 10th, and right now we are looking at one of the Central California Doppler radars here, and you can see the huge amounts of precipitation occurring as this atmospheric river moves across the area. Look at this slug of moisture moving onto the coastline here, right towards Monterey. There are flash flood warnings, flash flood emergencies ongoing right now. Roads are washing out. People are in danger right now. Heed these warnings, please, out there, folks. Don't be out and about if you don't have to. Do not drive across those flooded roadways. And this is going to sag south across the state here today. And there's been an uptick in some of the precipitation that's forecast to fall across Southern California as well. There's also another atmospheric river behind this one that we'll be looking at here in today's forecast. So right now, looking at things, you can see this atmospheric river coming all the way past Hawaii. There's subtropical moisture moving all the way up into the region here and back here across the tropics. Another one is on its way, folks. So things are primed for flooding across the state of California. A lot of snowmelt going on. Like I said, there's a lot of flash flooding going on across the state currently as we speak. Now, this is something that was shared with me here on Twitter. And you can see here this road washing out here, and it's not always so obvious. Sometimes the water is still covering the entire roadway, and it might look like it's okay to cross, but underneath it, you get this huge area that's washed out, and you can be swept downstream quite easily. So there's some communities that are being cut off by these roads washing out there. So just have a heads up and heed these warnings seriously. This is some of the snowpack across some of the higher terrain there, and just look at the amounts of snow there, and you can imagine rainfall falling into this and starting to weigh down the snow, or the snow starting to melt, and there's going to be the roof loading structure problems across a lot of these houses and businesses as well. So yeah, it's just prime for flooding here across the state. No other way to put it here. Reconnaissance plane flying through the atmospheric river out there, checking out the atmosphere here. So not just for hurricanes, we got atmospheric river hunter planes out there as well. Now, taking a look here, atmospheric river scale here. This is the benefit hazard distribution, and you can see once you get into the late season, you got wet soils, everything's saturated, you got huge snowfall amounts in the mountains here, and it becomes hazardous much more quickly versus the early season, of course, where, you've gone through some period of the summer without rainfall, and you can fill up those reservoirs and whatnot. But as you get later on into the season, things become much more hazardous here, especially when you've got everything saturated and you've got so much snowfall, and you rise those freezing levels up and you really start to melt that snowpack in the higher terrain. This is looking at some of the wind gusts as well. The storm came in with a punch. You can see some of these areas, a lot of wind gusts, 60 plus, 70 plus out here across the area. So power outages associated with that as well. This is day one, excessive rainfall outlook continuing with the high along the coastline and some of the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. And you can see the moderate and the slight have been introduced down to Southern California there. And I know there's a lot of snowpack across the higher terrain. A lot of that's going to be melting and exacerbating these flooding conditions across Southern California there as well. So heads up for that as we go on in through the day today. This is day two, a little bit of a break, but we're still getting precip moving across the region here. Day three starting to set up for that next atmospheric river coming through, and we're going to get upgrades as we go on into the future here on in through day three or so, as we're going to definitely be going back to slight and moderate here as another strong atmospheric river is headed our way here, folks, as we go through early this week. We are not done, and there's a potential for more after that as well. Taking a look here, this is the GFS hot off the presses. I mean, look at ridiculous amounts. There's really no other way to put it that's falling across some of this state as we speak. And you can see some pretty good amounts across some of the higher terrain here and clipping the coastline there for Southern California even. Go off into the future a little bit more, and look at this next storm coming in here as we go on in through Monday and Tuesday, again, with just the ridiculous amounts of precipitation into the snowpack, high freezing levels. We are just primed for flooding here across the state of California. This is looking at the European going out 144 hours on last night's run. You can see big amounts all the way through Southern California as well. This goes out through about Wednesday night here with the potential again for more after this, and just some huge amounts, 9-10 inches plus are possible in some areas. This is looking at the integrated vapor transport here. And let's back up. This is the one we're dealing with here now, and you can see it sliding down across the state, taking its sweet time to do so, and we really don't get out of the southwesterly flow across the state here before the arrival of this next strong system as well. This would be about as we move on into midweek coming up here. And yeah, that does not look good, folks. Another atmospheric river rolling in here. And then we've got more possibly off through the extended there as well. We'll worry about that as we go day by day. This is a wider look at things here. So this is what's going on. Here's the current atmospheric river. You can see California on the right. Japan is on the left. Hawaii is in the middle. There's Alaska. There's the Pacific Ocean. And you can see this trop well backed in. The tap of this tropical air all the way back down towards the equator there. And you can see that one hammering California. We don't get out of the southwest flow before the next fairly strong and robust atmospheric river hits the state as we go through Monday into Tuesday there. And then potential, as you can see, back across the tropics, still have that southwest flow pointed at California there. Now look in here. This is last night's European run, and you can see just the huge amounts. But this is going to becoming in the wet, heavy, dense variety here across the higher terrain, and just huge snowfall amounts again on top of some of this snowfall out there. Unstable conditions, roof collapsing, big loads on businesses and homes out there. And a lot of this snow is going to continue to melt across some of the foothill areas as we go. Again, the big snowfalls are going to be confined to the higher terrain here as we go up through midweek coming up. Excuse me, guys. So now we're looking at Mammoth here. You can see the warm-up coming here as we go through the first atmospheric river, the second one here as we go through early next week, and the potential for another one as we go through next week. And we'll watch this closely. I have a feeling this is going to fluctuate back and forth here. Let's hope it's not another extremely warm atmospheric river. As you can see, these freezing levels spiking above 10,000 feet here at Mammoth Yosemite Airport. This is looking at the GFS, kind of highlighting this atmospheric river potential coming up here. This is one we're dealing with now. And again, another fairly robust one coming with potential more in the future there. So you can kind of see the rating scale here between 1 and 5. And it really doesn't take an extreme or exceptional atmospheric river with this much snow and high freezing levels to cause some serious flooding concerns, as you know, like what's going on across the state right now. So yeah, here it is, folks. We are just in it now. Heed those flash flood warnings. They're all over the place. There's flash flood emergencies, which mean people are in danger, and there's probably water rescues going on right now. Roads are being washed out. Again, pay attention to your local authorities. I'll probably do another live stream on Sunday night. We'll talk about that next system coming in there as well, but I will do my normal briefing tomorrow and on Sunday morning as well. So we'll talk about this again, and hopefully you guys are being prepared and staying safe out there across the state. Primed for flooding here, folks, and this is not going to be a one and done thing. We're probably going to be dealing with this on in through March. And hopefully we start to get some breaks after this 1-2 punch coming today and then on Monday into Tuesday. So anyway, stay safe out there. Heed your warnings. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.